Hi, I'm Rebecca Gunn. I am a property solicitor at Edward and Lewis. I was based in the Leicester office, but as of Monday, I'm moving to the Loughborough office where I'll be also managing the branch. I qualified in January 2013.
Hi, I'm Kulzinder Garcha. I'm a trainee solicitor right now in the commercial department, moving into my third seat shortly actually. I've been a trainee since August 2013.
Okay, I left uni after doing my law degree at De Montfort and decided to become an event manager for a Leicester firm. And it was only after doing that for 2 years I decided to go back to law. So I signed up on the LPC part-time at De Montfort again, which consisted of a Friday, Saturday, Sunday once a month over a 2-year term time period. Throughout my LPC there were lots of job offers for paralegals going on what they called their blackboard, which is like an electronic bulletin board, I think. And I applied for a paralegal job here at Edward and Lewis. I was successful, thankfully. And I was a paralegal for, I think it was just over a year, but I literally received my results from my LPC on the Saturday, signed my training contract on the Monday, and the rest is history, I suppose.
My path was not that different from Rebecca's actually. I finished my law degree in 2006. I worked for a couple of years. I worked in another law firm just to gain some experience, make sure this is what I wanted to do. The LPC is a very expensive course and you need to make sure you've got the passion and the drive to do it successfully, finish it. So I quit my job after 3 years, went back to university for 1 year, successfully completed my LPC, went back to work and then finally got a job here as a paralegal. I worked in the property department for 9 months, I believe, before I got offered my training contract. Then carried on working in property as a trainee, and then I moved into commercial, which was a completely different area, but now I'm a trainee.
Okay, so typically a training contract is for 2 years. I was lucky enough to have 6 months reduced from that time, what we call time to count. So if, for example, you've worked in a law practice, fee earning, before you get your training contract, that time can be taken into consideration, but the maximum being 6 months deducted. So my training contract was only 18 months. Now, throughout the training contract, and I think it's quite different for different people and at different firms, but typically you should sit in 3 seats. My seats were property, which is where I began my legal career. Then I did a short stint in wills, employment law and commercial property. During that period you move around and you start off on the basics within that department and then slowly and gradually build yourself up so that you can handle a file on your own confidently. Throughout your training contract you have to fill out a training log. And that's probably the hardest part of the training contract, I suppose, because you have to analyse yourself on what you've done, what you've learnt, and what skills are required going forward. And you have to fill that in every week. So if you think of a 2-year period, you end up with quite a chunk of a file that you don't know what to do with at the end. You want like a celebratory, I don't know, burning of the file, but it is hard on your training contract and a lot is expected of you because you've suddenly taken the leap from paralegal to trainee, so there's a different expectation of, you know, what work you do produce. You are still protected, you do have a training principal that will check all your work, but I think, and probably my best advice when on a training contract is to throw yourself in it, do as much background reading as you can, do as much as you can and get out there and network.
Gosh, okay. From personal experience and also from seeing what this firm looks for, good grades, of course, very important. You know, you have to show that you've got a strong academic background. The best thing about being a trainee, and possibly the hardest thing about being a trainee, is that what you've learned at law school is just the basics. So this is your opportunity to really develop on that. So you are constantly learning. And if you can't show that you have the capability to learn, then that's what you're going to show, obviously. So that's probably one of the strongest points there. Secondly, I would say passion. Passion is huge. You must have passion for law. You must have passion for client care. You must have passion for where your firm is going, the direction it's moving in, because you need to get on board with that. You need to understand that this is a business more than anything else. And you're there to make a difference, and you're there to learn, develop, and be the best you can be as a solicitor. And it needs to come through when you have your interviews with your, who are going to be your employers in the near future. You also just have to, Rebecca's right, you have to have the ability to throw yourself in there, get on with it, of course, and not be scared to take a leap of faith and try your best. The hardest thing, I think, is learning the difference between the academic and being a fully employed. In practice, it's a very big difference, and that can be the biggest challenge for most people who are coming out of university, because you're so much more comfortable as a student writing essays, and then one day you're being asked to draft documents, review, and it's really different in that sense.
I think employers look for people that have a commercial awareness to see what's happening in the market, because legal services are changing so much. But I think some people come to interviews not knowing where the law's going, and why would you want to enter into a career that's uncertain and you don't know where it's going? So you need to be thinking ahead. You need to show the employer that you are aware of the changes, what's happening around us in the world, in different countries, that ultimately affects what's happened here. So I would say, look at the news, read the papers, and look upon all changes that are happening in the law before any interviews.
Also, you can get your hands on the Law Gazette as well. I think you can subscribe to it as a student.
Online.
So, online. Strongly recommend it. Get reading, guys, basically.